choosing ourselves first, pivoting from stress to blissful retirement. So I know a lot of us are working and hoping and can't wait till we get to retirement. We might be just hanging on. So we have a guest who's going to be talking to us about how she made some life change, some major life changes to pivot from the stress in her life. And now she's living her best life in retirement. So I know Carole from many, many years ago. I didn't know she was under a lot of stress. She probably didn't know I was under a lot of stress when we knew each other when we first met. But now I've been watching Carole online and she is living her best life. When I tell you she is glowing, traveling, just looking phenomenal. So I'm going to talk to you and Carole's going to share with you about how she was able to pivot, because pivoting is not easy, yet it is possible. So we want you to know that it is possible. No matter what stress you're going through right now in your life, you are able to pivot. I do want to make an announcement that I'll share now and then later on is that we are offering a Black Friday and Cyber Monday partnership program for Black women in which you will be able to sell some of the master classes we have. So the How to Leave a Toxic Job masterclass and the How to Heal from a Toxic Job masterclass. During Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you will get 30% of each Black woman who sells using your partnership link. If you want to apply for that program, I will put the information in the description section and I'll also have it going across the screen. Okay, so check that out. So Carole, introduce yourself, please.
I would love to. First of all, thank you for having me. This is an honor, it's a privilege, and it's part of a dream, if you will. So the introduction first. My name's Carole Pinkney Hart. I am a young 61 years old. I am the
Looking
proud.
fabulous.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am a proud mother of a 29-year-old daughter who I do business with, which we'll talk about, and a 34-year-old son, and a almost 5-year-old granddaughter, and a lovely daughter-in-law as well. Retired educator, taught school for 35 years, a long time.
Wow.
And currently I work in finance. I'm a marketing director, and I help people understand how money works and put them in better positions.
Awesome. Thank you, Carole. So
You're
I didn't
welcome.
introduce myself, everybody. Sorry. So I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. So again, you are here for pivoting, how to pivot. So Carole, in our lives as Black women, we're often juggling so many things that often we come last on the list. Like choosing ourselves first is usually not a priority. So can you talk about how you went about choosing yourself and just pivoting from a lot of stressful events or situations in your life?
Yeah, good question. It was kind of one of those things where I don't want to glamorize a pandemic, but there was a lot of good that came from it. But to be honest, the symptoms of me knowing that I needed something different and I wasn't vibrating in my true self came about in 2018. And I started looking at some dynamics in my personal life. Professionally, I was okay. Professionally, I was okay. Everybody knows teachers don't make a gang load of money. So, but I'd gotten very comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is another topic. And in 2018, on a personal level, I started having some serious conversations with myself. And then I tried to incorporate some of the stakeholders in my life on a personal level. And I realized that they just didn't really have the capacity to help me. So I kind of shrunk for a little bit because I got really comfortable with doing that until I couldn't do it anymore. You kind of, those whispers become shouts after a while. So, in the back of your head and your heart, those quiet conversations with yourself, I'm not happy. This isn't enough. I deserve better. There's got to be more to life. If I stay on this track, I'm going to derail. Like those things.
Oh, serious.
Yes, real talk. And then the pandemic came and everything and everyone slowed down. And I was slow enough that my heart started racing. And one of your colleagues, I say that metaphorically, was a young woman during the pandemic. She called them happy hours. So in your field of study, it's my understanding that there was some sense of like community service that needed to be done in the mental health field. And every Wednesday at 12 noon, she would come on a Zoom and just talk about things related to mental health. And I felt like she was talking just to me. And that was the catalyst. I said, if I don't do something quickly, I'm going to explode. And I didn't, and I wasn't like on the verge of hurting anyone or hurting myself, but I was so unhappy.
Oh, wow.
So unhappy that I literally knew that I didn't have an option. And I tell women sometimes, Kimani, when people say to me, oh my God, Carole, how did you do this? When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you really don't have another option. You don't. And
a few follow-up questions really quickly, right?
Please, yes.
So many rich things. One, you said that she became comfortable being uncomfortable. Can you speak a little bit more about
absolutely.
that? A lot of Black women can relate to that.
Yes, we can. So, growing up in South Central with older parents who were uneducated, they didn't have a blueprint. And yet and still those were my role models. And so I saw my mom struggle financially in her marriage, into the community. I saw her always drink from an empty cup. And that was what I adopted. That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to live like that.
Yeah.
But I got comfortable doing it because it was all I knew. And that became a norm until I realized, by just getting out of my box, that a lot of women don't function like that. Men and women. But because I am a woman, you're going to have to give me grace in that. But a lot of us, we just work in those dynamics because long suffering is glamorized.
Yes. And our families have done it. So we see that of the women in our families. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what my mom did, and my aunties and the neighbors down the street, and et cetera, et cetera. And so once you realize that we don't need to champion that, and there's no awards given out at the end of this race saying, hey, congratulations to so-and-so. You're
the hardest worker.
It just doesn't work that way. And so I just said, I don't have to subscribe to that anymore. And let me just say this, and I love the follow-up questions, is I don't want anybody to look at this show or hear this podcast and think that I got it all figured out, because I don't. I am a prime example of work in progress. I do champion, because every day I get to like I'm almost insatiable with the knowledge and the growth and the mentorship and the vibrational levels of people that want better. That's such a big deal to me. And every day I learn something new, because I put myself in those rooms. I have those conversations. Some recent events have proven that I was, talking and mingling with people that weren't in, the space I should be in. So that means I kind of had to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And, and think about it. I'm a little older than most, some women who are in this space of revamping themselves, maybe they're in their 40s, some are in their 50s. So when you come later to that stage in their life, it's definitely more humbling. But it's also exciting at the same time.
It's exciting. And I think too is the excitement and fear might confuse people, and they might say, wait a minute, well, I'm more comfortable, even though I'm uncomfortable. I'm used to the situation, even though I'm miserable. I'm used to always masking. Everybody I know is masking. So I might as well just sit with that. But you said something that was so powerful, Carole. You said that I knew that I deserved so much better.
Yes.
And I think many of us as Black women have been told that we're selfish if we center ourselves, or we're selfish if we don't take care of other people first. But I always said, that's not selfish. That's self-preservation. There's nothing wrong with that. So being able to reject that and say, no, I don't care how old I am. I still know that I deserve better in my life. And so that might mean there's some changes that need to happen. So that was the one thing you said was powerful too. And then you said about shrinking. Can you talk about how were you shrinking? What did that look like in your life, Carole?
Well, it was easy to do when you're a teacher. So when
Mm,
you're an educator, you put your students first.
mm-hmm,
And so then when you're raising a family, they come first.
mm,
So it was easy. I was programmed to just make sure husband was okay, kids were okay, my 28 students were okay, the
mm-hmm,
colleagues were okay. It was just by nature. And then I just realized that I had almost nothing left to give.
mm,
And I really, the only reason why I championed the pandemic is
mm-hmm.
because that's where my growth happened. It happened in that space. It didn't happen before. And it's been on that same track as we continue to move forward as the years go by. But
Yeah,
that's
because
what I
I think
mean.
during the pandemic, all of us had to stay still, all of us.
All of
So
us,
it
all
wasn't
of
a
us.
distraction of moving all the time because being busy all the time is a trauma response. So I used to tell people, they say, "How are you doing?" I say, "Busy." That's not a feeling, right? And I would just say that because I thought that that's what I was supposed to be, always busy. But that kept me from being connected to myself. And it sounds like
Mm,
you were doing the same thing. But during the pandemic, you're like, whoa, I got to stop, and then you reevaluated your life and say, this
right,
is not the life I wanted.
right. But this
Yeah.
really it's that simple, but it's that hard at the same time.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
that hard. It is that
yeah.
hard. And I think some women get to that point, but then they just say, that's just how it's going to be. That's just how
Hmm.
my life is supposed to be. And that is so sad for me to hear Black women say that because there's that sense of helplessness and hopelessness. But you were like, nope, not for me, not for me. So, can you talk a little bit about what were the symptoms you were experiencing? You said you were so unhappy.
Oh,
What did
good.
it look like? How did that look like in your life?
Anxiety was through the roof.
Mm,
I was in survival mode. Um, every day, I didn't have the luxury of being present because I had to think about what was going to happen the next day, the next hour, the end of the month, whether it
mhm,
was bills, food, deadlines. It
mhm,
was all of that. And so anxiety became my bedfellow.
mm,
Um, the other thing was that I didn't see it until I see myself now. And thank you for your compliments. Is
mhm,
that I wasn't taking good care of myself. I thought I was because I would go to the gym
mhm,
and get maybe my hair and nails done, but that was like maintenance.
mm.
And
Wow.
yeah, that's maintenance. That's not really care. And and this is a whole learning curve because you're not taught that. Like, my mom made sure my hair was done. She made sure I had like a new dress for Easter, but
Mhm,
I never saw her take care of herself, take a
mm,
day off,
mhm,
a massage, just unplug. What was
mhm.
that? I didn't know what
You
that
know, it's so
was.
crazy. Sometimes people be like, "Oh, we don't do that kind of stuff. That's not for us."
Right. And I totally disagree with that. And
Yeah, we
we should
reject that.
apologize for my technology because
Oh, no, it's
it's
okay.
okay, good stuff.
Carol's trying to work out her tech stuff, but yeah, we all know we all got tech issues. We're just happy that Carol's here. Okay. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
thank
It's
you.
okay. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
So, Carole, you talked about the anxiety, you talked about prioritizing everybody else, make sure everybody else was okay.
Hmm.
And you talked about things really changed for you during the pandemic. So, can
Hmm.
you walk us through what were the major life changes you made and how did you do that? Because it's not easy to just wake up and just make major life changes.
Right. Good stuff. I love that question. So, one, I started therapy. I started therapy and I was consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted my partner in life to participate in that process, but he chose differently.
Mm,
And that in itself was a decision of myself. That was really the turning point, is realize that wasn't going to be a joint effort. So I
mm,
was just going to have to do it by myself.
mm-hmm.
Then when I started this business, the bedrock of what we do starts with raising your identity.
Mm,
So when I started to read self-help books,
mm-hmm.
learn what it means to be grounded, um, understand the power of being present, affirmations, like I literally threw myself metaphorically into a den of betterment.
Mm,
The vision had always been that I would be doing that with a partner.
uh-huh.
But once that vision diminished because it did, then I just had to just do it by myself. And I liked who I was learning to be.
Mm.
I,
It's
I,
not like you outgrew your partner. So you saw some things you wanted to change. You started doing the work, therapy, self-help, just really
mm-hmm,
self-reflection, and your
mm-hmm.
partner was not doing the same thing at the same
Yeah,
time.
T had a different approach.
Mm.
He had a different vision. It
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't the same as mine.
Mm.
And I'm really active with another community called Life After Divorce. And what I've come to realize is that my story isn't that much different.
Mm.
That a lot of women, and there's some men is for sure in the whole movement with that, but a lot of us, we take on the roles of being a wife or a partner
Mm-hmm.
with really no roadmap.
Mm.
And that happens again because I think we're just culturally, that's just what we experience.
Mm-hmm.
And when we realize that there's another way to do this, like there's a lot of ways to make chicken,
Mm-hmm.
a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of things you can do in a relationship or marriage that's
Mm-hmm.
not what your mom and daddy did.
Mm-hmm.
But if you aren't open to the possibilities of what that looks like, and your partner is, and you're out of alignment,
Mm.
and if you've ever drove a car that was out of alignment, it just doesn't work right. Things wear out unevenly.
Mm-hmm. And it can
The,
crash the curb. It can crash.
exactly right.
Uh-huh.
It's literally a dangerous thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the hardest thing, to be honest with you. Once I made the decision that I was going to do the rest of this journey in a different marital space,
Mm.
then that changed almost everything else, because now I had given myself permission to be. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It
Mm.
was
How
probably
long were you married, Carole?
32 years.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
32 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a
And so
long
it's a
time.
process. It sounds like it was a process of you kind
Hmm.
of, I guess, maybe grieving the loss of the relationship and
Oh,
really bettering
absolutely.
yourself at the same time.
I had to make friends with what does grieving really look like.
Mm.
I was having a conversation with someone today because the holidays are coming up. We're actually here now. And
Mm-hmm.
they asked me, because they're just in a mentally healthy space, they say, how are you dealing with the holidays? And
Mm.
that's a lot of questions people don't ask someone like me. They just
True.
don't. And I say, every year gets better.
Oh, wow.
Every year gets better. So now I am 70% better than I was last year, and then the
Mm.
year before, and the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, as women, we take on guilt very easily.
Absolutely.
And I had to, that's why I'm really big on language. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I always say my marriage became complete versus the other terminology you may hear people say, because some things have a season.
Mm-hmm.
They have a time. And
Mm-hmm.
when they're complete, we move on. Like, no one frowns upon completing a book or a movie being complete. It's just, it did what it did. Let's move on. You complete high school, you move on. And it can happen in an interpersonal relationship. And my biggest goal is to lessen the negative connotations that
Mm.
come with a marriage being complete, because there's a myriad of reasons why this, but at the same time it's so individualized.
Yeah.
But to get back to the original question, that was the real driving point. Once I had heard myself say it out loud,
Mm.
because once you put it out there in the universe,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes like, I feel like really the universe calls me every day. Like, I get a phone call like almost every day. Hey, it's universe calling, Carole. Guess what? And I'm like, okay, let's do this, or whatever it may look like. So once
Mm-hmm.
I said it,
Mm-hmm.
then it was a commitment.
Right. So you're talking about a lot of forward movement. So connecting to yourself and
Mm-hmm,
listening to what is propelling you forward. And it sounds
mm-hmm.
like your marriage, it was holding you back.
Well, it was in a sense that I wasn't being able to be my full self. And
Mm.
I realized that there's this whole phenomenon called the gray divorce. And it
What's
is
that?
the gray divorce is the number of women 50 and over that get a divorce.
Mm.
The numbers are staggeringly high, more so than those under 50. And
Mm.
what we know for sure is because those of us at that age
Mm-hmm.
typically got married young.
Mm.
I was 25,
Mm-hmm.
with very little or no time to figure out who they are.
Mm.
prior to becoming a wife. Like I
Mm-hmm.
say all the time, I was someone's daughter. I lived with my parents, to being married, and I lived with my husband. I'd never lived by myself,
Wow.
ever, ever. And I know that's not everybody's journey, but that was my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so the great divorce is big because women get married young. If you're in that age group, you
Mm-hmm.
have children, you build a family, you do all that stuff, and then you realize that those seasons
Mm-hmm.
don't serve you. They don't work
Mm-hmm.
for you anymore, or you were a different person. The dynamics were different, the
Mm-hmm.
goals were different. And we know everything changes,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I celebrate longevity. I tell people all the time, I don't support divorce, but I do support deliverance.
Oh, oh, comment on that.
I do that. And if it feels like you're not being able to breathe and live, then that's not a space for you to be in.
Mm.
And it doesn't make anybody bad, wrong, right, correct. It just sometimes is what it is.
Mm.
And nothing makes me happier than to be in a room and see people having healthy conversations about vulnerability, emotions, maturity, all
Mm.
the things it takes for an interpersonal relationship to succeed. You got
Mm.
to show up different.
Yeah.
And you don't learn that at 24, 25. So
Mm-hmm.
when the rubber hits the road at 40 and it's catastrophic, it's like, what do you do?
Mm.
And on the airplane, what they tell you, you put on the oxygen mask
That's
first.
right. And you find it sounds like you found a community. You said life after divorce. You
Mm,
associate with like-minded people who understand, and even though all the experiences are the same, there's space for you to have the experience without people,
yes,
trying to put guilt on you and whatever, right? So, Carol,
yes.
did you experience people putting guilt or guilt tripping you as you made this decision to at the completion? I love how you said that, the completion of your marriage.
Yeah. Not for long because I didn't allow it.
Mm,
I had one, some names will be protected for the innocence, but there were one or two people who were older generational. They were not my peers. There
mm-hmm,
were women who were 10, 15, 20 years older than myself
mm,
who tried to say, "Oh, you can't do that." Oh my God. Like just the guilt they tried to wrap, and they tried to wrap it up and put it in a really pretty box with a bow on it to
mm,
make it feel like they were supporting me, but they weren't. They were really judging me, if you were.
ooh,
And because I had done a lot of the beginning work with
mm,
accepting my decision for myself and know that there may not be any cheerleaders in the stands when I do that, that's
mm,
okay. That I
mm-hmm.
was okay with it.
Okay.
And I had to develop the ability to say to them, you know what, this is a conversation I can't participate in.
Boundaries. Woo. Okay. Did they respect those boundaries? Did they keep pushing? Did they?
One or two of them kept pushing, but most of them did respect it. Yeah,
Awesome. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So for you, you talked about, really challenging ways you were brought up, the things you saw your mother
Mhm,
and other people live with, and you were like, no, this is not the life I want for myself. You were in therapy, all these things. So
mhm,
in therapy, you came to, or I guess everything else helped you come to the realization this is it's really coming to an end. This season
mhm.
is about to end. And
Right.
so did you experience guilt yourself? And then how did you work through that?
Good question. I learned when I was in graduate school, a
Mhm.
professor said that guilt is a chosen emotion. Unless you're in a courtroom with a jury of your peers, no one can label you guilty.
Mm,
So I always remembered that. So
mm,
the guilt wasn't a concern of me more or less as what will other people think.
mm,
And this is, I think, important to note that I'm an only child. So as an only child, I was very comfortable with being by myself.
mm.
Like it's not a big deal for me. I could sit in this apartment 3 weeks straight and never go out and be okay. Will I do that? No, because you see me, I'm out there living out loud. But but I could if I had to.
You're right.
Um, so the guilt, I never adopted that. It was more, what were people going to think?
Ah,
Because I felt like they had saw my family and myself in this glamorous pedestal, in a
Mm-hmm.
variety of communities, and I just could not let these people down. I harbored
Mm.
that for years.
For how long?
Oh,
How long did
oh,
you say?
minimum 12 to 15.
What? Wait. So when you were still married,
Mm-hmm.
you were
Mm-hmm.
having the thoughts of, I want
Mm-hmm.
out, but
Mm-hmm.
you were so concerned about how other people might view you and your family that that
Mm-hmm.
kept you in for that. Wow. That
I
sounds
know.
miserable.
It was,
Ooh.
and it's not until I look at older pictures of myself that
Mhm.
I see the sadness, and
Mm.
nobody saw. So when you hear things that no one hears a tree break until it snaps,
Wow.
and you know, and that was literally me.
Mm.
It was literally me. Even my best girlfriends didn't know, because I
Wow.
was the one hosting Thanksgiving dinner and
Mm.
Christmas parties, and you need
Mhm.
having a baby shower, you can do it at my house. Or
Mm.
you need me to help pick up something for your mom because you're busy. Well, I'll go run to the store and do it. Like, I did that stuff.
So it's like self-sacrificing
Oh my
to the
God.
extreme.
Oh my God.
Mm.
To the
So
hill.
during that time, did you, because you said you looked at the pictures now and you're like, oh, I was so unhappy. At the time, did you feel unhappy then?
Yeah.
You did. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But you know what? When you come from an environment of long suffering, that's just part of the package.
Mm.
Like literally, I've talked to women my age and older that just say, but that's just the way it goes. Like they
Oh,
just subscribe to it being normal.
oh, man.
Right. Yeah,
Mm,
they subscribe to it. And because
mhm.
think about it, it takes a lot of courage to do what I did, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and all I say all the time, sis, is I wish I'd had a Carole Hart in my life. If a
Mm.
Carole Hart had sat me down in my mid 40s and say, you don't have to do this, that
Wow.
I will support you. We can
Mhm.
take one step at a time. It's not the whole staircase. It would have looked totally different for me.
Yeah.
And
And in
that's,
many ways, you're doing that for women watching this right now.
yes, I'm hope. That's my hope.
Person.
That
Yes,
is
yes,
my hope.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Carol, were there any fears about making this pivot?
Don't laugh. But my biggest fear wasn't living by myself. It was, oh my God, what if a mouse gets in the house?
I can help myself.
Nothing else worried me. I swear, I
Wow.
kid you not. And I had a little bit of concern about carrying water upstairs. I know this is minuscule, but in my head, I wasn't worried about being lonely, not having friends, could care less about dating. I wasn't worried about any of that stuff. I was like, oh my God, if a mouse was in the house, what would I do? And my
But that
therapist
just
said,
shows you how you have really progressed through the whole processing of this marriage is over.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And once I made the emotional decision and then I made the declaration publicly, it
Mm,
became about handling the business side of that. Because
mm,
then when a marriage becomes complete, now you've got, if you're taking care of the emotional part of it, now you got to handle the business side.
mm,
And then that's when I just sprung into action. And I say all the time, everything is figure outable.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
just that we look at the picture so big that we don't know where to start.
Right.
That's why having a support system is so important. And for
So
me, it
so
was
the
my
support system
therapy.
helped
Yeah.
you figure out what next steps to take.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But you can do it. Like you can do it. And I talked to a sister girl at a picnic this summer, and it was
Mhm,
all in her face. She didn't know what to say to me, but I could see it. And I said, I can see it in your face. I know what that looks like.
mhm,
I know exactly what that looks like. I said, and when you are sure, you won't need me to tell you. You
mm.
will, I promise you, you will know. And she just, and I saw her, she was, and it was me, I was paralyzed in fear, not
Wow.
of the mice, not of the mouse, but I was paralyzed in fear of what will people think.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And then it got to a certain point when you start making moves and it was less important what people thought because you and your survival, your wellness took priority.
Yes. Yeah. And here's the
So
thing,
was yourself.
all the nosy people, the phone calls, the inquiries, they didn't even happen. They didn't. I can count on one hand the people that came to me and said, "Oh my God, what happened?" On
Mm.
one hand, on one
You're
hand.
catastrophizing and staying in that situation
Yeah,
longer, and
yeah.
it didn't even really happen.
Nope, nope. I
Mm.
tell people the very thing you're worried about, don't worry about it.
Still move forward. Still move
Move
forward and
forward.
choose yourself.
Move
And what
forward.
about your kids? So marriage, you went through this process. How long ago was this?
I moved in 2021. So
Okay.
it's still kind of fresh, but not too
Mhm.
fresh.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
we got therapy ourselves, the kids and I. That was really helpful.
Mm.
Um, and because I always was their soft landing spot,
Mm.
and it just became softer in this process because, and I can say this with full honesty. Literally this morning, I was with my son, and he had noticed some changes in my demeanor the
Mm.
last couple of days, and I had some things occur, and
Mhm.
I just celebrated the fact he even could see it, and
Mm.
he acknowledged it, and I said, "Wow, thank you for that." I said, "But I am okay." I said, "I'm going through some stuff. I'm just processing it, but
Mhm.
I'm not on the deep end, so I'm okay." But
Okay.
that came about because the therapy, it allowed them to realize it's okay to get naked emotionally,
Mhm.
and I know they're better for it.
Mm.
um it's, I mean, we're all is still like, you grieve forever,
Yeah.
forever, you really do. And I want people to
Mhm.
understand that if there's a woman or even a man listening to this thinking that there's a finish line, there really is a reason why we say it's a marathon.
Mm.
It
Mhm.
is. You just grieve certain aspects of the grieving process lessen,
Mhm.
certain aspects do diminish, but it never eradicates. And
Mm.
I didn't know that until my therapist told me one day. We were talking about my traumas, and he said, "Well, they never go away." And I said, "What? Don't tell me that. What do you mean these traumas won't?" He said, "No, Carole, I will give you tools. You'll have ways to address them and acknowledge them, but they won't go away." I was like, "Stop the press." Like, what? But here we are.
But real talk. And I think it's important that you share that with the audience here to know that
Yeah.
you might still, as you're going through these life transitions or marriage complete, whatever that might be, you
Mm-hmm.
still have those moments of grief. Like when I left that toxic job, I still have moments of grief about that,
Yeah.
even though it was a terrible experience, but still have those moments of grief. But it's less often, it's less intense. And so recognizing that it's going to be there. And I appreciate you normalizing that. So what about your kids? You said that you guys went through therapy
Mm-hmm.
as the process was happening. And so you feel like that really helped
It
in
did.
that transition?
It did. It did. And it just opened up a gateway of knowing that regardless to what the topic is, we
Mhm.
can talk to each other. It may not be about the marriage or the
Mhm.
ending of the marriage, the
Mhm.
conclusion of the marriage. It could be anything going on in life. Let's just talk
Mhm.
about it. Um,
Okay.
and that's satisfying because think about it. I tell people say all the time, "Well, you probably stayed there for the kids." There's the kids and everybody else. Remember, I adopted a big role that nobody really like. Nope, I self-appointed myself.
Mm.
Like, everybody gets a pass.
Mhm.
Everybody's off the hook. I did that by myself.
Wow. Wow. And you're like, no more because it's killing me.
Yeah,
No more.
can't do it. Can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've heard a lot of women say that when they go through a marriage completion, I love that terminology, that
Hmm.
they lose people. They lose not only their partner, but they lose friends and family. And it feels almost like an abandonment in some kind of way or betrayal because they kind of choose one partner over the other. Did
Hmm.
you experience that? And if so, how did you deal with that?
I really didn't. I really didn't. It's funny how you can be in a big room but only be close to a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a big room in many facets of my life when I was married,
Mm-hmm.
but there was only really a few close people close to me in that room. So there were some things I didn't get invited to anymore, but it made sense because he had his village, his
Mm-hmm.
tribe, and their allegiance with him was expected and respected.
Hmm.
So for the few that kind of went on the limb and invited me to certain things, they would say to me, well, I'm inviting you and him. And I'd be like, that's fine. You're more than okay. I mean, I'm okay. This is your event. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable inviting me, I'm comfortable with accepting it, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't really have that much abandonment. I
Ah,
didn't.
okay. Were there times that you guys came to the same event?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and how I think people are like, how would you navigate that? How did you navigate that?
Honestly, you navigate it in an honest space. Respectful, you speak, and that's it.
Mm,
That's
okay.
it. Yeah, I early on I thought it might look a little different because I read in books it can be, but everybody's different. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just an acknowledgement and you just keep going because in the day we're not at the event for each other. So
True, true. And you have agency when you want to leave too. You don't have to be there forever. So
exactly.
yes. So
Good
your
point.
retirement, when did you retire,
The
Carole?
same year I decided my marriage was going to be complete.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
not the
walk me
same
through.
month, but the same year. So yeah, retired in June of 2020. And literally, the marriage I knew, and I made the declaration about 5 months after that.
Wow. Okay. Did you plan it that it was going to be like simultaneous?
No, no. The universe is my best friend. So, because what happened was the financial business came into my life in 2019,
Okay.
and it was such a good fit for me that the success was there. And then the pandemic happened, and I didn't want to Zoom teach.
Mm.
And it was all about the same time of my identity being raised, my
Mm-hmm.
mental health being embraced. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was an easy commingle. It was bedfellows.
Ah, okay. Okay, so things were kind of just aligned.
They
So
did.
what was it like to retire, even though you had other professional opportunities, they were like
Mhm,
looking good, or
mhm.
one particular professional opportunity. What was it like to retire? Was it, besides the pandemic and didn't want to Zoom teach, what was it like walking away from a career that you had for so long?
That was a grieving too. It was because I had always envisioned that I'd have this big retirement party.
Hmm.
I never had it. I still feel like I feel grieved that
Ah.
I go to people's retirement party and be like, dang. So that was very griefful. I made that word up. But it was also exciting because it was something new I was doing as well. Like I felt like I got all the juice out of that lemon.
Aha.
5 years before that, I was teacher of the year. Um, I was at the top of the pay scale, which is nothing to brag about in education, but it is what it is.
Hmm.
So I had done all that I could have done there, and that literally mirrored what I was doing with my marriage. I felt
Hmm.
like I had done all that I could do, and let's just hit the reset button holistically.
Okay. Okay. So retiring, so you retired first and then the marriage
Hmm.
completion, right? So
Correct.
what was life like for you after you retired? Like
It,
immediately
bec- it,
after?
it, it became business. Like everything was about business because I
Mhm.
could run a classroom blindfolded, but I couldn't run a financial business blindfolded. So I
Uh-huh.
needed all hands down. I knew how to be a wife and a mother, but now I need to know how to be a single woman. So
Mm.
everything about my life was new, which was also exciting.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to the grocery store by myself. Walked in and I stood in the door to the point I was in the way. And I said, oh my God, I get whatever I want
Wow.
or not. And to the point a man said, ma'am, could you get out of the doorway? I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I remember exactly what I bought. I only bought wine, grapes, cheese, yogurt, and bananas. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like
Mhm.
everything became a small win.
Yeah.
I live every day, sis, like it is the first day
Mm.
because I understand how precious this time is.
Yeah. You have new excitement for life.
Oh my God, so much excitement. I get compliments or acknowledgments about my smile all the time. and I have the same set of teeth. I know I do. And then there's nothing different, but it comes with so many other things with it now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want people to catch.
Yeah.
If you're going to, this is infectious. Joy is infectious, and
Mm-hmm.
it literally is yours to have. Now, it's comes with a cost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It does.
Talk about
But
the cost. Talk about the cost.
well, the cost is that you're going to have to make hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
The cost is it's going to be risky. The
Mm-hmm.
cost is you don't have a blueprint. I mean, I could go read all the self-help books in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but it still won't be my journey.
True.
It's my suitcase, it's my closet, it's my kitchen, it's my underwear, literally everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the cost is taking the risk.
Mm.
But Les Brown said it beautifully. He said the cemetery is full of dreams that died with people.
Ooh. Ooh.
And I
Ooh.
don't want that to be me.
Okay. Okay. So does it feel that now you are living the life that you dreamed?
Girl, girl, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
tell the audience, what does your life look like now, Carole?
I love it. I go to bed when I feel like it. My alarm clock is contingent upon my workouts the next day. So I wake up early to work out. I love a good sweat, and then I run my business.
Okay.
I get to decide if I cook or eat out. I get to decide if I want to go on vacation or not. I get to decide if I want to go hard in the paint in my business and work like from 8 to 8. It's just the freedom to be me, to take a walk at 2 in the afternoon,
Hmm.
decide that I'm going to take off my shoes and walk on the grass outside in the parking lot. Like the stuff, because I don't have to raise a little kid.
Yeah.
I don't have a partner. I don't have 30 kids waiting on me to grade their papers. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
It literally, every day I wake up and it is a dream. And I'm so grateful. I'm
Wow. Like you're
so grateful.
liberated.
Oh, it's the best ever. The
Mhm.
best. And
Mhm.
fun fact,
Huh.
when I moved, I put on 25 pounds.
What?
They're gone now. They're gone. But
Huh.
I know, because what happened was, remember, I never lived by myself. So for
Mhm.
those of us that lived in college when our 20s or our late teens, what do? We ate and drank whatever we wanted.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
I was trying to eat and drink whatever I wanted, but I was 58. It don't work the
Okay.
same.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
don't
All
work the
right.
same. And if you're into fitness, you understand that you don't lose weight in the gym, you lose weight at the table.
Mhm.
So my treat every night for about maybe the first 6, 7, 8 months was a beverage and a small bag of chips.
Oh goodness. Wow.
Right. And this is the same woman that juices, eats 2 salads a day. But I was in such a space of celebrating and being independent and by myself that I made some really unhealthy choices.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize it until I was walking into a store and nothing was fitting.
Oh.
So, it
So
comes
it
with,
snuck up on you. It snuck up on you. You
oh, it
didn't
snuck
realize
up.
it?
It snuck up on me. And then one day I saw a picture of me sitting down and I said, "Who's that?" And my friend said, "That would be you." And I said, "Oh," and that was it. That
Oh
was
my
it.
God. Okay. Okay. So now your life is whatever you want it to be. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. The most accountability I have between the people that I train in my business, but
Mhm.
that's business, that's not personal.
Mhm.
And then is in helping my son and his wife and my granddaughter.
Okay.
Because I love being that grandma. And then of course my daughter needs me. But that's very different than being accountable as a spouse and
Mm.
all of the heavy lifting that comes with that.
Mhm.
That's totally different. So yes, liberation. Yeah. So when you see me out there living, like sometimes people will say, "Oh, it's late. I didn't invite you." Invite me. It's 9 o'clock. I can get out. I have a car. I can drive. Like I
Mhm.
might come. This before I just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and tell us about your travels.
Oh
I've been
God.
watching you travel.
I just renewed my passport. I have been to Europe. I think I've been on 3 cruises since
Whoa.
2021. Been to Thailand, Bangkok, France, Paris, Greece, Turkey. Taking another cruise in February with a girlfriend. Yeah, small trips. So like, no such thing to me as a small trip, just a distance. Yeah, so I kind of, if it makes sense financially, I go because I will. You can't regret travel.
You cannot.
You
You
can't.
cannot. And
Yeah,
you're like beaming when I see those pictures. Like you like living your best life. Okay.
I'm so
So
excited.
yes. So can you please share, Carole, what you
Yeah.
said when I said, "How are you?" Remember, we talked the other day. I said, "How are you?" You said, "Oh, I'm so much lighter." You remember
Oh,
that?
did I say lighter? I might have.
I think you did. You said, "I'm 200 some pounds
Oh yeah,
lighter."
I said I'm 225 pounds lighter. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
Right. Yes.
when people like what, I'd be like, not me. When you end up
It's
not
symbolic.
carrying the weight. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
all weight is not measurable.
That's true.
It's
That's
not all
true.
measurable. It's just
That's
I
true.
use that just so that it is a vernacular fun thing to say. But
Mhm,
and this is what I say all the time. And I
mhm,
already said that, I don't promote divorce, I promote deliverance. Is that literally, I think we need to understand that it's okay to start over.
mm,
People
absolutely.
frown upon that, but you start a movie over, people lease a car and then turn in and get a newer car the next year. Why do you do that? Like, we just need to apply some of life's principles in
Mhm,
other areas to your interpersonal life.
mhm. I
And
agree.
yeah, it's just a really big deal. And at the end of the day, I think the best thing that came out of my marriage being complete is that people sometimes look at me, this is just feedback I've gotten,
Mhm.
and say, well, if she can do it, I could do it.
Yeah. And let me just say too, Carole, and I put that quote on the screen. I don't promote divorce, I promote deliverance. That was so on point. That I think I met you maybe 10 years ago or something.
Probably, probably
Yeah. You look so much younger now
now.
than 10 years ago.
I know. I
It's it's
know.
it's like aging backwards.
I get it all the time. I went to a funeral yesterday for a colleague. I saw a former principal. He said, "You didn't look this good when you were at my school. What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just happy."
Oh, wow.
I get it all the
It is
time.
it's amazing. I'm like, "This woman looks so much younger than when I first met her." It's amazing. It's
And
amazing.
and I read. So thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So what advice well, let me ask you this first. As you were going through these pivots, because you talked about
Mhm,
major life changes, as you
mhm,
went through these pivots, and I love, 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 love that you are talking to Black women about that you can do it. If I did it, you can do it too.
mhm,
I love
mhm.
that. And I want to know, as you did those things, is there anything that you regret in that process of pivoting? And maybe anything that you would have done differently?
Only thing I get that, not a lot, but enough. I just would have done it sooner. That's all. The only regret is I would have done it sooner. It
Mm,
would have been easier for me because I wouldn't have been carrying weight longer than I needed to.
mhm,
And I think for sure it might have been easier for my children
mm,
because, the mistake is that you wait. And this is part of the gray divorce. When you talk to women in that group, is
mhm.
they say, well, I'm gonna wait till the kids are grown. I'm gonna wait till kids do that. Well, now they've got this whole historical life that wasn't real.
Ah, yeah. So what would you say to Black women who say things like that? Who say,
Don't stay for the children, leave for the children.
"Oh,
It's better for them to see how do you pivot and navigate a life change than to make it what it's not. And it's
mm,
not real. Like, what are we promoting? At the end of the day, that's like, I regret it. It would have been better for my kids. It would have been better for me. I don't
mm,
feel comfortable speaking for him, but I know it would have been better for me to have
mm,
done it sooner. I think
mhm."
everybody would have been like, why are we waiting? Like, rip off the band aid.
Wow, wow. And what about, because you said, we're approaching the holidays.
Mm,
So what, and you said that it gets easier over time, but
hmm,
it still aches. What
hmm.
what would you say to Black women who are maybe separating, like they just separated from a partner, what words of advice could you give them?
You don't have to accept every invitation.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay not to attend.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say, I'm not comfortable with that. Like,
Mm.
just give yourself permission to walk in your truth.
Okay.
That's literally what I would say, because the holidays are going to be the holidays.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things to celebrate. There's plenty of things to do, but it's not going to ever be the same. So the minute you make friends with that, then you can create your new normal and what that looks like. But yeah, you don't have to go to everything. I've turned down plenty of invitations to plenty of things. I just didn't feel like it.
Okay. So what do your holidays look like now? Because you were sister A plus plus doing team too much all over that. Okay. So you were the queen. So what do your holidays look like now, Carole?
I just do it with my son and his family. I
Okay.
show up and I don't want to fill the room. She's the woman of the house. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a guest. So how can I help? What do you
Okay.
need me to do? How can I support? That New Year's, I haven't figured that one out yet. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I don't even think about Christmas till I get past Thanksgiving.
Mm.
That's the other thing too, is I think we overthink, but that comes from being in survival mode.
True.
So I get it. It's like, people say, so what are you doing? I don't know. Today's Sunday. I don't know what Tuesday's going to look like. Let me get there. But I know why people think that, because that's what you have to do when you're constantly trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just know where I'm gonna be for Thanksgiving right now.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And I didn't. I hope that if you don't want to answer this question, it's fine. Okay.
You
Um,
can though. I
okay.
love questions. I love
Okay.
questions.
Do you still have contact with your previous partner?
Well, just because the family's cohesive, so we see each other at family events, but on
Okay.
a personal level, there's no contact. No,
Okay.
it's not like we shoot the breeze and talk about sports and politics. No.
Okay. Okay. But it's a cordial type of when you're around each other.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, and how does that impact you to see your previous partner? It's a
Great
cordial.
question. It's liberating. it's
Mm,
it's a it's a space of, Carole, you did that without pointing a finger. It's
okay.
no finger pointing. It's because now it's literally, it is about, it's my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's my time. So it's liberating. Yeah. And my kids are very attuned to that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they'll check on me either
Oh,
before a family event or after a family event. Mom, are you okay? Da, da, da,
mhm.
which I appreciate. And I'd say, the minute I'm not, I'll let you know.
Wow. Those are some really mature kids.
Yeah, they
Really
are.
mature kids and very
Yeah.
compassionate. So, Carole, if there's a Black woman who's watching right now,
Hmm.
and she maybe is experiencing Sunday scaries because she's thinking about going back to a toxic job tomorrow.
Hmm.
And maybe she's in a relationship or maybe she's in a job that it's not fulfilling to her.
Hmm.
But she's saying, you know what? I'm comfortable with this job. Or I'm comfortable with this relationship. Or I'd rather stay with the devil I know than the devil I don't know. Or, like you
Ooh.
pointed out, um, I just want to wait till my kids, get older. I just want to just stick it out. I want to hang in there. What words of wisdom can you offer to her if she says any of those things?
Today's the youngest you're ever going to be. What do you want? Like, get naked in the mirror, and I mean that literally, and say,
Mm,
what do you want? And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be, I want a toxic relationship. I want a toxic job. You got
oh,
to get naked with yourself, and that this is not a dress rehearsal. I
mm,
don't get to come back and do this all over again. This is it.
true, true.
And I don't want to take the weight on, but literally that you have a support system. You don't have to do this by yourself.
Mm,
I have minimum 10 women on my Rolodex, metaphorically, that I can call. No judgment. I can be
mm,
crying, snotting,
mhm.
or not, and they are there for me. So find you a village of people. We're not meant to do this by ourselves.
I just thought of another question when you said that. What if the woman that we just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
let's say she's around family, friends, maybe even in the church, who are
Mm,
very, like divorce is not something we do. You just stay in this marriage. Like she's getting it at all ends. What would you say to her? And that's maybe she doesn't have that supportive community like you do.
yeah, that's a good question. See, I didn't have that. Mine was self-imposed. It wasn't like I was getting external messages like that. I was doing it. But if that was her, it kind of be the same thing. How does that work for you? How does that make you feel? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women don't own no words. All they know is mad, sad, and pissed off.
Oh,
That's all the vocabulary they have when it comes to emotions. So
yeah.
literally, I would just let her get naked with me emotionally and
Mm-hmm.
just let her know. And you know what our therapist told me once? And that was one of the things that did it for me. She said, if your daughter was in a relationship like yours, would you subscribe to it?
Oh, good
I said,
question.
absolutely not. And she said, so why are you doing it?
Oh, good question. Good question. And I see Reverend Dr. O's in the house. I interviewed her about holiday blues. She said, get a new church.
I love that. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes,
Get,
yes, yes,
you
yes.
know, that's a
Nowhere,
great,
don't put yourself in
I
situations
love
where
that. Get a
you're
new church. I
in a
love
new
that.
church. Move on, move on. So, Carol, as we're winding down, can you please share with the audience
Mhm.
what is your current business and how can you be contacted?
Good stuff. So my name is on the screen, and that is exactly how my email appears. So you can do Carole Pinkney Hart at Yahoo or Gmail. But what I do is so incredibly powerful because I teach people how money works, which means I am not a financial advisor. I don't yuck anybody's yum, but financial advisors, from my experience and a myriad of my clients, they don't teach you how money works. They say, do this, do that, and you just follow the Pied Piper. So I educate you, I equip you, I polish your problem financially and find your sweet spot so you can be more proactive with your money, your finances. That's literally what I do. And I train other people to do what I do. So you can either lock arms with me and do what I do and or be a client and be happy as everything once you realize that you've been doing money wrong and money's not evil. You just don't know what to do with it.
Right.
But yeah, that's the best way to contact me is email with that name, Carole Pinkney Hart.
Okay. So everybody, I put all of her information on the screen. I'm sorry, I just read a comment on IG.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. She was talking about her. Okay. No, she got in the hospital. Okay, so she's talking about going through a separation at this point too. Oh,
Mm.
look at this. They said you have peace in your face, Carol. Yes.
Oh.
When you see Carol online, it's like she is radiating joy. Like she would post a picture about she's on a plane on her way to somewhere. I'm like, this woman is living her best life. Okay, like she is showing all of us how to choose ourselves first, truly.
Yeah.
And it's not selfish. It is not selfish to
No.
do that. We have to reject. That's how so many of us were brought up. No, you're being selfish. Oh, you got to make sure this is taken care. You got to do this. Da, da, da. And it's like at a certain point, you think, well, what is my life? My life.
Right.
When do I
Right.
get to live my life? And getting to a point where you kind of feel like you're on automatic. You're like
Oh
rope,
God, yes.
like a robot, and just saying, this is not. If this is not the life that you want for yourself, what are the changes that need to happen for that to happen? And knowing that you are able to do so. It's not going to be easy, right? But the longer you stay in it, the more miserable you're going to be. So it's scary. But I'm like, I would rather go through the fear part than be miserable. I
Mhm.
would choose that, but it's up to everybody to choose. Okay. So
It
I'm going to
is.
read the community chat and then we're going to wind down. Some people are saying hello, everyone. Let's see. It's so important to acknowledge how much our family of origin influences the blueprints we live by. Agree. Glad to be here. So true. Educators have such a hard time believing they deserve to put themselves first. Yeah,
Yeah.
because of
Hmm.
how you guys were That's that social programming.
It
Um,
is.
yes, Carol, I'm learning to give myself permission to be too. That was my journey. We were high school sweethearts and just celebrated 51 years of marriage. Wow.
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 That's deep.
Mine was a high school sweetheart too.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh-huh.
I like, this is one other analogy. If you were on a train and you realize it was going the wrong way, you get off quickly instead of staying on because it costs more to go the other direction.
Ooh, that's a good I like that. I like that. Everybody's journey is different and to be honored, yes. But I do support deliverance, yes. Wow, guilt is a chosen emotion. That's a real thing. That water is heavy, LOL. I agree. It is a journey, but I'm glad I did get divorced, that I was able to show my son the healing process is also a journey.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think what's so important and powerful for us as parents to recognize that our kids are watching us. That,
They
we're
are.
modeling all these different things. And when I talk to Black women about, saying, I want to stay in this toxic job, I'm not going to let them run me out of here. They're going to, I belong here. I have every right to be here. I'm gonna stay, like all those kind of things that we say sometimes, your child is watching that. And the message that we're sending to our child, an abusive, not abusive, but a toxic situation that's not serving us,
Yeah.
you're teaching your child, just stay in these environments. That's just the way it's going to be. I don't want my children to think that way. I want my children to say, this
Yeah.
situation is not working for me. What do I need to do to get out of this situation? So we have to recognize our kids are watching us.
Yeah.
Wow, yay for renewing your passport. Yes, I love this. I love that it's okay to start over, right? Facts. It won't be the same, but I create new traditions for me and my son. Good. I want to see the ex-husband because he tried to reconcile. I expressed multiple times forgiveness does not equate to reconciliation. Good point.
Very good point.
Yes, yes. So yeah, because I'm wondering, like, in the separation, part of it is saying goodbye to the dream. Like the dream,
Yes.
this is over. And when we are in that space, we can be vulnerable because we want to believe like maybe it can work out again.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to Black women? How would they be able to determine if the dream is really, it's past, or is it them holding on to something that's already over? Like, how would they even determine if reconciliation is possible? I don't
That
know.
it is very individualized because I don't want to say that's not possible. I think everybody's different.
Mhm.
What I'm thinking about ingredients to a recipe. If you put in the same ingredients and you get the same results, then it doesn't change.
Mm,
So if you and your partner are doing exactly the same thing, you're going to get the same results. And if
true.
those results aren't giving you what you're looking for, then you just can't do the same thing again. It's going to get the same results.
That's
But
true.
I've heard of people. When I went to my first Life After Divorce conference, this lady had been married 2 times to the same guy,
Wow.
and they were happily married for the last 5 years in that space. So for them, that worked. So you
Mm-hmm.
just, you find your person, then hey, more power to the people.
Yeah. But I think what's important, you said that if the same dynamics are happening, if nothing has changed, more
Right.
than likely you'll get the same result.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Great conversation. Thank you. Wonderful conversation. Great analogy. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate you watching and centering yourself, taking the time to center yourself by even watching this conversation and knowing that you are able to pivot from very stressful life events. You can do that, even though it feels challenging to do so. You can do so. And again, repeating the announcement that I said earlier today is that if you want to apply to be in the Black Friday, Cyber Monday partnership program, in which you will get 30% off of each Black woman who registers or who makes a purchase for the master classes, the How to Leave a Toxic Job masterclass and the How to Heal from a Toxic Job masterclass. So the replays are available for each Black woman who purchases using your affiliate link. you will get 30% during the Black Friday Cyber Monday partnership program as opposed to 20%. So I'll put the application in the description section so you can access that. And let's see, you know that they want to, I can't even understand that comment. Okay, so I'm not going to read that comment. But anyway, so check that out. And Carole, I want to say again, thank you so much. And any last words you want to say to the audience before we wind down today?
Just be happy. Joy and happy are not the same for me. You know, happy is conditional, joy is more permanent. But just do that. I mean, I said it earlier that this is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And my only regret, and I think that hit it hard, is I just would have done it sooner. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Live your best life.
Yeah. So my hope is that you're able to see Carole, see she's able to do this. And I really like to really uplift and show Black women different ways that we can live a different life. We can really live the life that we want to live, but sometimes it means making some change. I see another comment. Thank you for sharing, Carole. Being vulnerable is no easy task. As a Black man who experienced divorce from a marriage in 2011 after 11 years, I have a few things to consider heading into 2025. Yes. And I'm glad you watched as well, because
me too.
You know, sometimes we think this is only relates to Black women, but Black men are hurting too, you know, when a relationship ends. And so my hope is that you were able to get something from this conversation. Let me see. It's just when I hear people saying about their success coming from a one-parent home. Success lies within you. I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your contribution. I'm not quite sure I understand your comment. So everyone, again, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, because YouTube suggests this video to other Black women who may need to hear this message. So again, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with at least 2 other Black women. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I don't know why you're not, but if you're not, please subscribe to my channel and turn the notification bell so you know when I go on live. So tomorrow I'm going to actually have a panel with Black men talking about post-election. You know, I had the panel with Black women talking about post-election with Black women healers. This is going to be post-election with Black men healers. So that's going to be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Central Time. So check that out. That panel is going to be very powerful tomorrow with Black men healers. Okay, so everyone, again, thank you so much for watching. Again, like this video, share with 2 other Black women, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the Black men panel. Okay, so Carole, if you could just stay on. Everyone else, I will see you tomorrow. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.